Amara woke to the sensation of cold silk against her cheek. It wasn't the scratchy cotton of her dorm room pillow, nor was it the warmth of her own bed. It was fluid, expensive, and terrified her before she even opened her eyes. She shifted, and a dull, throbbing ache pulsed behind her temples, the kind of headache that felt like a warning. Slowly, she peeled her eyes open. The light in the room was dim, filtered through floor-to-ceiling smart glass that turned the blinding morning sun into a soft, hazy gray. She sat up too quickly. The room spun. It was enormous. Minimalist furniture that looked like it cost more than her tuition, a fireplace embedded in a wall of dark slate, and a view. Amara gasped, clutching the sheets to her chest. The view was the entire Seoul skyline, sprawling and distant. She was high up. Impossibly high. "You're finally awake." The voice came from the shadows near the balcony, smooth, deep, and laced with an infuriating calmness. Amara flinched, scrambling backward against the headboard until her back hit the padded leather. "Who's there? Where am I?" Her voice was raspy, dry as sandpaper. A figure stepped out of the periphery. Jinwoo. He looked different than he had at the gala. The tuxedo jacket was gone, his dress shirt unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms that were surprisingly muscular, marked with a faint, jagged scar running down his left wrist. He held a glass of water in one hand and a small vial in the other. "You're in my penthouse," he said, walking toward the bed. He didn't rush. He moved with the predatory grace of a large cat, silent, heavy, deliberate. "And you're alive. Which, considering the dosage you ingested, is a statistical miracle." "Dosage?" Amara's hand flew to her throat. The memory slammed into her like a physical blow. The music. The laughter. The glass she had taken from the tray. I was poisoned." He corrected, stopping at the edge of the bed. He set the water and the vial on the nightstand. "We were the targets. You were just the collateral damage who got thirsty at the wrong moment." Amara stared at him, her chest heaving. "You're Jinwoo. The Heir. I've been called worse." He gestured to the vial. "Drink. It's an enzyme blocker. It'll clear the last of the neurotoxin from your blood. Unless you prefer the headache." She hesitated, eyeing the liquid suspiciously. He rolled his eyes, a flicker of human annoyance breaking his icy facade. He picked up the vial, took a sip himself, swallowed, and then held it back out to her. "See? Not trying to kill you. If I wanted you dead, I would have left you on the ballroom floor." Amara took the vial with trembling fingers. She downed it in one go. It tasted like bitter almonds and metal. "My phone," she said, looking around frantically. "I need to call someone. My roommate will be worried." "The police." "No phones," Jinwoo cut in, his voice dropping an octave. The playfulness vanished. "And absolutely no police. You are in a dead zone, Amara. As far as the world is concerned, you left the gala early. If you make a call, if you ping a tower, the people who spiked that drink will know exactly where we are. And next time, they won't use a slow-acting toxin. They'll use a bullet." The gravity of his words settled over her like a heavy blanket. She wasn't just lost, she was erased. "So I'm a prisoner," she whispered, tears pricking her eyes. Jinwoo leaned down, bracing his hands on the mattress on either side of her legs, bringing his face level with hers. His eyes were dark, endless pools of secrets. "You are a guest," he corrected softly. "A guest who walked into a war zone wearing a cocktail dress. And until I know who tried to kill me, you stay where I can see you." Amara closed her eyes, and the penthouse faded. She was back outside the grand hall, 12 hours earlier. She remembered nervously adjusting the strap of her dress. It was a rental, a deep emerald silk that she had spent 2 weeks' worth of food budget on. The invitation had been a fluke, a reward for her academic standing in the international relations program. She had come hoping to network, to maybe find a corporate sponsor for her thesis. She had walked in with hope. She was met with ice. The hall was a sea of old money. Women in diamonds that cost more than her parents' house, men in suits cut so sharp they could draw blood. She stood near a pillar, clutching a glass of sparkling water, trying to make herself invisible. "Excuse me." A sharp voice had cut through her thoughts. A tall man with slick back hair and a face already flushed with expensive scotch bumped into her. He didn't apologize. He looked at her dress, then at her shoes, his lip curling. "Staff entrance is in the back, sweetheart," he sneered. Amara felt the heat rise in her cheeks. "I'm a guest, actually." The man laughed, a cruel, barking sound. "A guest? With those shoes? Please. Who did you beg for an invite? Or did you sneak in to snag a rich husband?" Amara's pride, usually kept in check, flared hot and bright. She straightened her spine. "I'm here on academic merit. Something you clearly wouldn't understand, given that you're drunk before the appetizers are served." The man's face darkened. He stepped forward, aggressive, his hand raising as if to grab her arm. "Listen here, you little charity case." Suddenly, the air in the room changed. It wasn't a sound. It was a vacuum. The chatter died down. The music seemed to fade. Every head turned toward the grand staircase. Jinwoo descended. He didn't walk, he glided. He wore a tuxedo that was midnight blue, almost black. He looked bored, dangerous, and devastatingly handsome. The crowd parted for him like the Red Sea, a mixture of reverence and terror in their eyes. This was the Prince of Seoul's underworld. His eyes scanned the room, dismissive, until they landed on the corner where Amara was standing off against the drunk man. Jinwoo stopped. He tilted his head slightly. The drunk man noticed Jinwoo looking and immediately paled, stepping back from Amara as if she were radioactive. Mr. Han. This girl was causing a disturbance, I was handling it." Jinwoo ignored him completely. He walked straight past the man, brushing his shoulder hard enough to make him stumble, and stopped in front of Amara. Up close, he smelled of sandalwood and rain. The intensity of his gaze made her knees weak. "You have fire," he said. It was the first thing he ever said to her. Amara blinked, her heart hammering. "Excuse me." Most people in this room would have apologized to him just for existing, Jinwoo said, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. "You insulted his intelligence. I like that." He extended a hand. Long fingers, steady as a rock. "Dance with me." I don't know how to waltz," she stammered. "I'll lead. You just follow." She took his hand. It was warm, calloused against her soft palm. He pulled her onto the floor, and the world narrowed down to just the two of them. The dance was a blur. He moved her effortlessly, his hand firm on the small of her back. People watched, whispering, judging, but Jinwoo looked only at her. "Who are you?" she asked, breathless as he spun her. "Someone you shouldn't be talking to," he replied. "And you? What is a scholar doing in a den of vipers?" "Surviving," she shot back. He chuckled, a low vibration she felt in her chest. "Survival. A noble goal. But tonight. Tonight you look like you're thriving." The song ended. He bowed, perfect gentlemanly conduct masking the danger beneath. They walked to the side of the room. A waiter passed with a tray of crystal glasses. Jinwoo reached for one, but someone bumped his arm. He paused to glare at the offender. Amara, feeling the thirst of the adrenaline crash, reached for the glass he had been aiming for. "To survival," she whispered to herself, and took a sip. It was sweet. Too sweet. 3 seconds later, the glass shattered on the floor. Amara couldn't breathe. Her throat closed up. Her vision tunneled. She felt her legs give way, and she waited for the impact of the cold marble floor. It never came. Strong arms caught her. She looked up, vision blurring, to see Jinwoo's face twisted in pure, unadulterated rage. He wasn't looking at her, he was scanning the crowd, his eyes murdering everyone in sight. "Stay with me," he commanded, his voice shaking the darkness encroaching on her mind. "Don't you dare close your eyes." That was the last thing she remembered. Amara blinked, bringing herself back to the present. The headache was fading, replaced by a gnawing hunger and a lingering fear. Jinwoo was standing by the window, watching the city below with a sniper's focus. "You saved me," she said softly. He didn't turn. "I calculated the odds. If you died on the floor, the police investigation would be invasive. Bringing you here was tactical." "You're lying," she said. He stiffened. Slowly, he turned to face her. "Am I?" "You were angry. I saw your face. You weren't calculating odds, Jinwoo. You were scared." For a moment, he looked like he might argue. But then, the sound of the elevator dinging echoed through the vast apartment. Jinwoo's expression instantly hardened. The vulnerability was gone, replaced by a mask of stone. "Get dressed," he ordered, pointing to a pile of clothes on the chair, a sleek, black dress that looked expensive but functional. "Now. Who is it?" "The only man in this city who doesn't knock." Amara scrambled out of bed, pulling the dress on over her undergarments in the ensuite bathroom. She emerged just as the double doors to the penthouse burst open. 4 men in suits entered first, fanning out to secure the room. Then, he walked in. Chairman Han. He was a mountain of a man, aging but powerful, with silver hair and a cane he clearly didn't need for walking. He carried an air of absolute authority that made the air in the room feel thin. Jinwoo stood his ground in the center of the room, hands in his pockets, looking bored. But Amara noticed his shoulders were tense. "Father," Jinwoo said. "To what do I owe the pleasure? I thought we agreed Sundays were for distance." The chairman ignored him. His black eyes, cold as obsidian, landed on Amara. She felt like a bug pinned under a microscope. "So," the chairman rumbled, his voice like grinding gravel. "This is the girl." He walked toward her. Amara wanted to shrink back, but she remembered Jinwoo's words about fire. She stood her ground, digging her nails into her palms. The chairman stopped a foot away from her. He smelled of cigars and old blood. "You are not one of us. You are a civilian. A nobody." "I have a name," Amara said, her voice shaking but audible. "It's Amara." The chairman raised an eyebrow. He looked at Jinwoo. "She speaks. I thought the toxin might have fried her brain." "She's fine," Jinwoo said, stepping between them. The movement was subtle, but aggressive. He was cutting his father's line of sight. "She's recovering. And she's leaving as soon as it's safe." "Leaving?" The chairman laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound. "You foolish boy. She drank the K4 toxin. The attempt was on my bloodline. Do you think the Kangs will stop because they missed? Do you think they will let a witness walk away?" He turned back to Amara, leaning in. "They know you are here. They know my son carried you out in his arms. To the world, you are his weakness now. If you leave this building, you will be dead within the hour." Used as leverage to get to him. Amara felt the blood drain from her face. I'm just a student." "You were a student," the chairman corrected. "Now, you are a pawn." He turned to his son. "You brought a stray dog home, Jinwoo. Now you must deal with the fleas." "I'll handle the Kangs," Jinwoo said, his voice dropping to a growl. "Don't touch her." The chairman sneered. You have 24 hours to find the leak in our security. If you don't, I will clean up this mess myself. And I don't leave loose ends. He cast one last look at Amara, a look that promised death, and turned on his heel. The entourage followed. The doors slammed shut. The silence that followed was deafening. Amara sat on the couch, hugging her knees. The reality of her situation was a physical weight on her chest. He means it, doesn't he? She asked. He would kill me just to simplify things. Jinwoo was at the kitchen island, pouring 2 glasses of amber liquid. He didn't drink alcohol, she realized, it was apple juice. He slid a glass toward her. My father views people as assets or liabilities, Jinwoo said, sitting opposite her. Right now, you're a liability. My job is to turn you into an asset. How? I don't know karate. I don't know how to shoot a gun. Jinwoo took a sip, watching her over the rim of the glass. You have instincts. You noticed the waiter before I did last night. You noticed the shift in the room. I was just observant. In my world, observation is the most dangerous weapon. He leaned forward. We have to wait. My team is scrubbing the security footage, trying to find who paid the waiter. Until then, we are trapped here. Trapped in a golden cage, she muttered. Better than a pine box. For the next few hours, an odd domesticity settled over them. They were 2 strangers from opposite worlds, forced into a bubble. They ordered food, not from a delivery app, but from a private chef downstairs. They ate pad thai out of cartons while sitting on the floor because Amara refused to sit at the long, formal dining table. Tell me something real, Amara said, twirling a noodle. Not the Mafia prince stuff. Who are you, really? Jinwoo looked at her, surprised. He put his chopsticks down. I wanted to be an architect. Amara blinked. An architect? I like structure. I like building things that last. But, he gestured around the room. Family obligations. I build empires instead of skyscrapers. Do you regret it? He looked at the scar on his wrist. Every day. But I'm good at it. And that's the tragedy. He looked at her, his eyes soft. And you? What's the dream? To change the world, she said with a small smile. International relations. Diplomacy. I wanted to stop wars. Jinwoo laughed, a genuine, warm sound. And here you are, starting one. The moment hung between them, fragile and electric. Amara felt a pull toward him, not just gratitude, but attraction. He was dangerous, yes, but there was a loneliness in him that mirrored her own. He reached out, his hand brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. His fingers lingered on her cheek. I'm sorry, he whispered. For dragging you into this. I think, she murmured, leaning slightly into his touch, I walked into it willingly. The intimate moment was shattered by a low, dissonant hum. Jinwoo pulled his hand back instantly, his head snapping toward the wall of monitors near the entrance. Get down, he hissed. What? Why? The perimeter sensors. They didn't trip. They were bypassed. He stood up, knocking the chair over. They're already inside. Amara scrambled to her feet, panic flooding her veins. Who? Your father. No. My father knocks. Jinwoo moved to a hidden panel in the wall. It slid open to reveal a rack of weapons. He grabbed a sleek, suppressed pistol and a baton. The Kangs. They didn't wait for 24 hours. Suddenly, the lights in the penthouse cut out. Pitch black. Amara gasped, but a hand clamped over her mouth. It was Jinwoo. He pulled her against his chest. She could feel his heart beating, steady, rhythmic, calm. They cut the power, he whispered in her ear. They have night vision. We don't. Stay behind me. Hold on to my belt. Do not let go. A shattering crash echoed from the balcony. The glass, the bulletproof glass, had been blown inward. Amara saw the red beams of laser sights cutting through the dust and darkness. 3 beams. 4. 5. Move, Jinwoo commanded. They ran. They sprinted toward the kitchen island just as the first shots rang out. Thwip thwip thwip. Suppressed rounds chewed up the drywall where they had been standing seconds ago. Jinwoo shoved Amara behind the marble counter. Stay down. Count to 10. When I say run, you run for the panic room in the hallway. I'm not leaving you, she cried. You're not leaving me, you're clearing my line of fire. Go. Jinwoo vaulted over the counter. Amara peeked through the gap in the marble. What she saw was terrifying. 6 men in tactical gear, faces covered, moving in a tactical formation. Jinwoo didn't just shoot. He moved like a shadow. He threw a flashbang grenade, he must have grabbed it from the wall, and squeezed his eyes shut. Bang! A blinding white light filled the room. The attackers screamed. Jinwoo was on them. He fired 2 shots, dropping the lead man. He closed the distance on the second, using the baton to crack a wrist, then a knee. It was brutal, efficient violence. He was a whirlwind of motion, dodging return fire, using the furniture, the darkness, and the confusion as weapons. But there were too many of them. One attacker, blinded but flailing, stumbled toward the kitchen island. He saw Amara. He raised his rifle. Amara didn't think. She grabbed the heavy ceramic vase on the counter and hurled it with all her strength. It smashed into the man's faceplate. He staggered back, stunned. Jinwoo, she screamed. Jinwoo spun around, saw the threat, and fired. The man dropped. But in the distraction, another attacker lunged at Jinwoo from behind. A knife flashed. Jinwoo grunted as the blade sliced across his arm, but he didn't stop. He grabbed the attacker's arm, twisted it with a sickening crunch, and slammed the man's head into the floor. Silence fell. Heavy breathing echoed in the dark room. Clear, Jinwoo rasped. Amara crawled out from behind the counter. The room was destroyed. Glass everywhere. Bodies on the floor. You're bleeding, she said, rushing to him. His white shirt was soaked in red at the shoulder. It's a scratch, he said, though his face was pale. He checked the magazine of his gun. That was the first wave. We need to leave. Now. They were in his car, an armored sedan that felt like a tank. Jinwoo was driving, one hand on the wheel, the other pressing a towel to his shoulder. Where are we going? Amara asked. She was trembling, the adrenaline crash hitting her hard. A safe house. Outside the city. No one knows about it. Not even my father. He glanced at her. Her face was smudged with soot, her dress torn, but her eyes were clear. You threw a vase, he said, a hint of a smile in his voice. It was a Ming Dynasty replica, she said breathlessly. I think I owe you $50,000. Jinwoo laughed, and this time, he winced in pain. Put it on my tab. He reached across the center console and took her hand. His grip was tight. I told you I'd keep you safe, he said. You did, she replied, squeezing his hand back. But you're hurt. I'll live. But things have changed, Amara. How? Tonight, we didn't just survive. We declared war. My father won't protect us anymore. The Kangs won't stop. We are on our own. He looked at her, searching for fear, searching for regret. If you want out, he said quietly, I can drop you at a police station in the next town. You can go into witness protection. You can disappear. You can have your normal life back. Amara looked out the window. She thought about her dorm room. Her textbooks. The boring, safe, gray life she had lived 24 hours ago. Then she looked at Jinwoo. The man who had danced with her when she was invisible. The man who had taken a knife for her. The architect who built empires he hated. She realized she didn't want the gray life anymore. She wanted the fire. She turned to him, tightening her grip on his hand. "Drive," she said. "I'm not going anywhere." Jinwoo stared at her for a long moment, and the look in his eyes was intense enough to burn. He nodded, once. "Okay," he whispered. "Then let's go burn it all down." The car sped up, exiting the tunnel and driving into the breaking dawn. The city lay behind them, a sleeping beast. Ahead of them lay uncertainty, danger, and a war. But as the sun hit their faces, Amara wasn't afraid. She was ready. And the war for Seoul is just beginning. If you want to see how Amara and Jinwoo burn their enemies to the ground in part 2, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what happens when the fire meets the ice. Drop a comment below saying, Team Jinwoo, if you think they'll survive, or Run Amara, if you think she should have escaped while she had the chance. I'll see you in the next chapter.